Welcome back to another episode of The Unconventional Path. As you may know, we are in our wellness series and we're talking about all things health. Health is wealth. And so we have been going through the different ways that we could be pouring into ourselves when it comes to spiritual health, when it comes to social health, and today we are talking about our emotional health. And we want to give a great shout out to Jiggy Studios. We love rocking with you guys every single week. And we want to remind you that in the month of September, we are doing Prayer Live. But this year, Prayer Live is moving over to YouTube. For those who may not know, who may have not been following me, in 2020, I started doing a prayer live in the month of September where every morning I woke up and challenged myself to pray in a different area. And in 2022, I invited friends to join along with me. And so every morning we would have a different person who came to lead prayer. And so we're going to do that again in 2023, but we're going to add another element because there is a theme this year, and the theme is fighting for our families. And so we're going to be on YouTube this year as well, which is a difference. And we'll be here every single morning at 7 a.m. and 6 a.m. on Saturdays so that we could lead in prayer. And so I'm super excited for that. I hope that you will join us and you will come for that prayer time. Now, let's get into this episode because we are talking about emotional health. And I want to share with you how I realized that I was still in need of working on my emotional health and pouring into myself emotionally. So for as long as I can remember, from I was a child, I've had this obsession with wanting to get married and wanting to have children. You guys, if you're on this platform, you know my story. I wanted to get married and have children at 21. My parents got married and had children at 21, and so did I. And so therefore, when it didn't happen at 27, I took a year off from dating, gave my love life to God, and spent the last 11 years just asking God to refine me. So I have done it all. Like, I took a year off from dating. I went through deliverance. I went through the different courses. I went through different things to try and to make sure that I was surrendering it and letting it go and letting God have his way. And so if you had asked me before the story that I'm about to tell you today happened, I would have said, I am good. I have surrendered it. I have put it down. I am ready to do what God wants me to do in this area. And I am good. I have taken the classes. I have gone through everything, and I am ready to embrace God and what he's going to do in this season when it relates to that. Like, I would have told you, like, that is where I'm at. And so what had happened was it was my birthday, and I declared this year 38 as 30 great, and that great things are going to happen. And I am super excited for these great things to happen. And I was just, waiting for it to all just manifest and unfold to how God is going to do it. And so on my birthday, I got a message from this guy. And for my friends that know me, in my past, I would say I have grown from this, but I had a type. There was a type that I liked. And the person that came in the inbox, that's the type that I like. And so I was like, yes, Jesus, look at his birthday gift. Spiritual people, we try to make everything super spiritual. So in my mind, this is a gift from God. God has sent me this gift on my birthday. He delivered it to me. Yes, God, the waiting is over. Maybe this is it. But I would say that wasn't actually my first thought. When he messaged, I was just like, I don't know who this random guy is, but he was very intentional. So I remember mentioning it to a friend, and she was like, no, I knew him some time ago, and I don't think that's it. And I was just like, let me see for myself. I'm gonna see for myself. And so as I kept talking to him, he was just really persistent. He seemed very intentional. He seemed very intelligent. I was just like, I don't know. And I remember talking to my mom about it after a day or two, and she was just like, I don't know if I'm feeling it. And I was just like, all y'all trying to hate, like, this is God. Y'all just need to be open. And so I was praying to God, asking him, like, should I continue, and talk to this guy? And so you would have seen the title of this episode is The Gift of a Broken Heart. I wouldn't really say it was a broken heart because I don't think it was that much time invested to have a broken heart, but I think it revealed that my heart was still broken. I think it was able to shed light of what my heart was still going through and that my heart was still broken. And so in that experience, I was sitting there and I was just taking time to get to know this person, because at the beginning, I'm thinking God gave me the gift. The husband is here. He has arrived. You guys, y'all don't have to wait anymore, because he is here. God has shown the light, and this is it. And there's so many problems with that wave of thinking right there that could tell you that emotionally I was not well. And so in my mind, my emotions are going like whoop, the anxiety is going whoop because I'm super excited, like it's happened, it's here. And so I'm trying to remain calm, but my anxiousness, like I'm talking every day, we're talking hours on every day when you meet. And the first week was just beautiful. I'm like, he is super self-aware. I'm like, did you do therapy? Your self-awareness is just like on point. He's self-aware, he loves Jesus, he's like all the things that you're ticking off. Like he's self-aware, he loves Jesus, he's super intentional, he's dating to marry, he knows all about himself. I'm just like, this is it. He's not perfect. There are things, but again, even if somebody was super perfect, like there weren't things that made you like, I don't really love that about their past, or I don't really love that I have to deal with that part of their past. But other than that, it's just like, it's great. And like, you know, you're not gonna find someone super perfect anyway, so this is great. So the first week was amazing. I'm like trying to remain chill, but still the anxiety is through the roof because I'm super excited. And then I go away. And when I was going away, I did not have Wi-Fi on the cruise. And so I was like, I'm gonna be MIA for a few days. And he was just like, it's cool. So I'm thinking once I get back into Wi-Fi after like 3 days, I'm gonna have the same amount of voice notes and messages and stories that I've had as we were getting to know each other in the first week. My inbox had a flower on one day and hope you had a good day the next day. Y'all, I was hot. And this is why I knew I was not emotionally healthy. Because because it irritated me. Because why is that irritating you? You just met this person. So why is this a problem for you? Anxiety, anxious. So why is this a problem for you? Why are you mad? But I was upset that that's all I had. And then number two, I fussed about it. I was just like, this is all you sent. Like we've been talking forever. I was MIA for 3 days and this is the message that I get. Y'all, friends, our feelings are indicators of how we are feeling in the moment, but they are not our guides. Our feelings should not dictate our emotions. And so in that moment, if I was emotionally well, if my emotional health was in a good place, one, it wouldn't have mattered to me. But the reason it mattered to me is because there's this problem that I've had, and don't leave me out here hanging alone if any of the other people watching this have this problem. Type below in the comments, I've had that problem, I'm working on that problem. But a problem that I've had from a child is that I tend to fantasize of what I want my life to be. So I live a lot in fantasy and daydream land instead of living in reality. The problem of living in a fantasy or daydream land when you are seeking out romantic relationships is you are putting that fantasy onto a person who has their own thoughts, their own emotions, their own personality, and own instructions from God. And so when what you have developed as a fantasy in your mind does not play out in the reality, you're wondering why they are not playing to the part of the story you've told yourself in your head, and then you get upset. But all of that is going on in your head. So you can see how you're not emotionally well if that is something that you're doing. And so I am trying to hope that this person emotionally plays out what I want them to play out. And when they don't, I get frustrated. So the problem is, one, that is still your wave of thinking. So that tells you you're not emotionally healthy. And number two, you've now allowed your emotions to be your guide and you're taking it out on the other person. Needless to say, the connection trickled off. There was a few days and I didn't hear from him. We talk about it. I don't like it. I don't know what's going on. You're triggering a lot of emotional wounds. And then a few days go by and we don't talk again. And then it ends, it fizzles out. But why I say that it was a gift was because I am telling you, if someone had asked me verbally, if I had surrendered wanting to be in a relationship, if someone had asked me verbally if I felt like I was ready, if someone had asked me if I had done all the work that I needed to do in order to be in a relationship, if they had asked me in theory and in my head, I would have said yes. But in my heart, I had a lot of head knowledge of when it comes to surrendering that part of my life, but I had no heart knowledge. A lot of head knowledge, but no heart knowledge. And I realized that I needed to surrender that emotionally and give that to God. So if you are listening to this and there's something you're emotionally connected to and you're worried about, and a way that you can know that I am not well in this area, or if I am adamant or it's not surrendered, is if you can give God full authority in that level, in that area. So if you are still concerned about how something happens or when something happens, it's not fully surrendered. So when I wrote a book, I never wanted to write a book. I wrote a book because I felt God wanted me to write a book about the experience I had. And so I could have died and never wrote a book and I would have been just fine. I could have written a book 10 years from now and I would have been fine because it wasn't a desire of mine. It was a desire once God put the desire there, but again, it manifesting and how it manifested was all God. Like when it did and how, all God. I have not been like that with other areas of my life. I would see certain ages, to be quite transparent and frankly honest. I would see the age, I told you guys, 21 came and I was like, God. 25 came and I was like, God. 30 came and I was like, God. 35 came and I was like, God. And then I just moved it up and I'm like, 40. 40's right there. And so that's why the anxiety of meeting someone at 38 on my 38th birthday went through the roof. Sometimes you're in a situation, maybe you have a situation with a family member, maybe you have a situation at work, but the minute you see that your emotions are starting to dictate how you operate, or your emotions are giving you a certain feeling that of disappointment or rejection or pain, that's the time to tap in and say, God, I am not well here. There's a verse I want to give you, and it's Philippians 4:6-7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. So we have to remember that if I want something so bad that I'm trying to control in my mind, and we know when we're fantasizing about a how and a when, then it means I'm anxious, and it means that I didn't give it over to God, and it means it's an unhealthy desire. I think God does know that we desire certain things and we can hope for certain things, but when you're okay with it happening whenever God, the travel things, opportunities God gave me, yes, I would love to travel, but I have no qualms about how, when, and if it happens. I'd love to do it, but if it happens or when it happens, it's okay. But that's not how I was with every area of my life. And that's when we know we're not emotionally well, because I have not surrendered all of these emotions and feelings to God. And the thing is, God cannot work on our emotions and feelings if we're not honest about the fact that when this guy only text that I was hurt, because I had to be honest with God about those emotions so that he could heal the part of me that still had an unhealthy desire to connect to someone. And I once heard a podcaster say, like, when it comes to romantic relationships, sometimes when you're going through the preparation phase of healing and working out, past traumas and disappointments from previous relationships, sometimes you only really fully heal when you're in the next relationship, because that's when you're going to be in a situation that triggers someone not calling you back. How is your response to that? Someone deciding they don't want to continue a relationship, what is your response to that? If you had a wound from a parent, when you let a parent back into your life, how is your response when they do something that is familiar to being rejected? How do you respond to that? And that allows you to know, how much did I heal? Another verse I want to share with you, 1 Peter 5:5. Likewise, you younger people, submit yourselves to your elders. Yes, all of you be submissive to one another and be clothed with humility, for God resists the proud and he gives grace to the humble. God resists the proud and he gives grace to the humble. I had asked God, why? Those areas I talked to you about just now. Why have I seen blessings in this area? Why have I seen blessings in this area? I've seen blessings in that area. God says the reason you see blessings in certain areas is because you've surrendered those areas to me. It means you don't care about how and you don't care about when. That's why you can see blessings there, because you don't care. You've given me complete control to do it how I want to do it, when I want to do it, and where I'm going to do it. So if you are someone who feels like, I am struggling with emotional health, I have anxiety, and I want God to give me grace in those areas, there are 3 things that I want to tell you about. One is therapy. Therapy has been just so tremendous for me in being able to identify those areas that you need God to work in. So I definitely want to tell you to get in therapy. Long walks on the beach. Being on the beach allows God to really download what he wants to say to you and reveal what he's trying to say that needs to be worked on in your life. And the final one is journaling your thoughts and allowing God to just download and for you to vent and be honest about the feelings that you're feeling. And I hope that this series has been a blessing for you. I hope that, tapping into if emotional health is something I need to work on, it's been a blessing for you. And I can't wait to see you guys next week.